Welcome to Euphoria Time Capsule, where we dive deep into history, uncovering hidden truths and challenging conventional narratives. Today, we're exploring a radical new perspective on the origins of Western civilization. Based on Josephine Quinn's fascinating book, How the World Made the West, we'll be discussing how our understanding of civilization, especially Western civilization, has been shaped and often misrepresented through the centuries. For centuries, we've been told a story. Western civilization, with its roots in classical Athens and Rome, developed in a smooth progression of enlightenment, ultimately culminating in the rise of the British Empire. But according to ancient history professor Josephine Quinn, this view is overly simplistic and deeply flawed. In her book, she argues that the very concept of civilization itself is problematic, a narrative born in the 19th century to support imperialist ideals. Let's start by exploring one of the book's central claims, that Western civilization would not exist without its influences from Islamic, African, Indian, and Chinese cultures. Quinn takes us back to around 2000 BC, to the bustling port of Byblos in Lebanon during the Bronze Age, a time of extensive long-distance trade and cultural exchange across the Mediterranean. The evidence is clear. Ancient societies were far more interconnected than we've often been led to believe. Welsh copper was sent to Scandinavia, Cornish tin reached Germany, and beads from Britain were found in Mycenaean tombs in Greece. Far from being isolated, these cultures were part of a vast network of exchange, trading not just goods, but ideas and practices. Quinn also points out that the idea of cultural appropriation wasn't a concern in ancient times. In fact, it was seen as a strength. The upstart Romans, for example, were known for borrowing customs from other cultures if they found them to be superior. This exchange and adaptation between different cultures was a core part of how societies developed. But what about the idea of distinct civilizations? Quinn challenges this too. She highlights how even liberal ideas of multiculturalism can perpetuate the notion of separate, monolithic cultures. Her own historical research reveals the fluidity of identity in the ancient world. One example she offers is the story of Cadmos, the founder of Thebes, who was born a Phoenician but became a Greek. Identity was far more malleable than we often think. This leads us to another key theme of the book, that civilization, as we know it, was constructed. It wasn't until the 19th century, when historians began crafting narratives to justify European imperialism, that we began seeing Western civilization as a pure, separate entity. But as Quinn's research shows, it was anything but pure. The ancient Greeks, for instance, drew heavily on influences from the Middle East and Egypt. Homer's epics contain echoes of earlier Mesopotamian stories, showing how interconnected these societies were. And Quinn doesn't stop there. She argues that even the so-called clash of civilizations, the idea that the Crusades or modern conflicts are wars between distinct cultures, is misguided. Instead, she views the world as a place where culture has no fixed location, constantly shaped by interactions and exchanges. Perhaps the most compelling example she gives is that of the warrior women of the steppe. For centuries, scholars dismissed stories of women warriors as myths. Yet, recent archaeological finds have revealed graves of women buried with axes, swords, and armor. These discoveries challenge long-standing biases in historical scholarship, biases that couldn't conceive of societies run successfully by women. Quinn's work is a reminder that history is never as clear-cut as we think, while the strong version of her thesis, that there are no separate cultures, might be debated. Her larger point stands. There has never been a single, pure Western or European culture. Civilization has always been the product of exchange, adaptation, and influence. Conclusion: Josephine Quinn's How the World Made the West is a bold rethinking of history, one that forces us to confront the myths we've inherited. As we continue to explore the past, it's crucial to remember that no civilization exists in a vacuum. Cultures have always been fluid, connected, and constantly evolving. Thanks for watching Euphoria Time Capsule. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history's hidden stories. See you next time.